Today's daily recap for BTG Beyond the Gates is for Friday, May the 8th, 2026. Well, Nicole, I get to Nicole and Carlton later. Let's talk about Jacob. Jacob ends up pretty much talking Grayson off the ledge, you know, and he lets him know because Smitty was in the room, remember? And he goes, "Who is he?" And he goes, "I'm an investigative journalist." And he said for the magazine he worked for, he goes, "So you're gonna write an article on me?" And he says, "I'm writing an article on the illegal plasma smuggling ring." And so they were just talking about the impact that it would have. People are not getting the blood. People that need the blood are not getting the blood, right? So anyway, uh, Jacob tells Smitty, go ahead and go home. He was going to talk to Grayson. So Grayson was saying, you're undercover. You're not in the same boat as me. You're using me. He goes, I'm trying to stop this ring, period. And he says, now, I'm in a position, Grayson, to help you, but you have to help me. You haven't given me any names of who you report to at the hospital. And he goes, yeah, but Ren stabbed that first guy. Remember that Smitty was on his next to contact when he got stabbed, and he's the one that told Smitty the initial information, right? And he says, he got stabbed. I got stabbed. Why aren't you arresting Ren? He said, because Ren is nowhere near the top. I arrest Ren. The higher ups are just going to move their operation. They're just going to shift some people around. No. And Grayson's like, yeah. So he goes, who are you answering to at Memorial? And Grayson says, oh, I'll tell you. But you're going to have to do something for me first. And Jacob looks at him and says, what do you want? He goes, oh, I want immunity, period. If I'm giving up names he goes, I want immunity. I can't go to jail. I am the only one providing for my mother's care. And if I'm in jail, she won't be taken care of. So Jacob says, okay, you have my word. He goes, oh, no, 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 no word. I want it in writing. He goes, my father is the chief of police. He goes, oh, I want it in writing. So Jacob says, all right, I know a district attorney. So Jacob calls, makes some calls, explains what's happening. Uh, the guy, he's talking to as he's on the phone, talking to the guy tells Grayson, oh, okay, so what are you off? Are you asking for this deal? What are you going to provide? Are you going to work with it? He had to get some things settled. And Griffin says, yes, I will. Yes, yes. No, I understand. Yes. So they hang up, and Jacob said, see, all right, you're going to have your plea deal. And Griffin says, you haven't seen it in writing. And Jacob said, check your email. So he reads it. He goes, and it was a electric. I guess the guy texted him and told him he needed to do a DocuSign, electronically sign. He goes, all you got to do is sign it, man, and the deal is done. So he goes, that was fast. He goes, yeah, it was fast. Now sign it. So Griffin does his deal, and he goes, now talk. Who is the impaler? He goes, I don't know any impaler. He goes, okay, then who is the woman you're working for at Garland? He said, Dr. Leah, whatever her last name is. He goes, wait, Leah, whatever her last name is, the chief of staff? And he goes, yeah, chief of staff. He goes, she's a pillar in this community. He goes, No, Grayson didn't say that. He didn't tell Grayson she's a pillar in the community. Grayson says, that's who I answer to. And Jacob's thinking, man, okay, now this is deep, right? And so Grayson leaves. Um, Jacob talks to Smitty. After Smitty and Martin spent some time together, Smitty was all bummed out. Martin was trying to get his mind off. That was a cute scene. Um, he talks to Smitty and he tells Smitty, it's Leah, whatever her last name is, right? And that's when Smitty said, the chief of staff at Garland. He goes, yeah, that's how high up it goes. Smitty says, she's a pillar of the community. He goes, not anymore, right? So anyway, Smitty's thinking, man, this is big. So now they know this is big and it's got to be done right. Now, here's the thing. Jacob needs to cue his father in on this. No, they haven't finished it. They haven't blown it out the water, but his father still needs to know progress is being made. And now this level we're at, you know what I'm saying? In case something does happen to Jacob. So anyway, they had some, little filler scenes between Danny and Andre. They both had their little fantasy land on, if they could have met under different circumstances, their own little, it was just a filler information. And she walked in on him making some kind of ominous phone call, that it had to be done right, kept off books and blah, blah, blah. Right. So she, of course, we knew she was going to worm it out of him. And she did after a nice, hot, steamy roll in the hay. And she goes, now let's get back to that phone call. I want to know what's going on. It sounded 007 to me. So he ended up telling her that he got a job in, oh my goodness, I can't remember, internationally. And he wanted her to go with him. And she says, yeah. And he goes, really? You'll come with me? He goes, and then after he does the job, we'll take a quick stopover in Tokyo. And she's like, Tokyo? They remember Chelsea Cat is debuting at the Tokyo Fashion Show. And he says, I got you. Like front row seats. Great seats. He didn't say front row per se, but he got her VIP seats at that fashion event. And she goes, Chelsea Cat is debuting there. She goes, oh my goodness, like he made her the happiest woman in the world. Now, to me, Danny should just surprise her daughter, but Danny can't hold water. She gonna tell Chelsea. But I would surprise her so that she doesn't think ahead of time that I'm there to try to, nudge in, because she's not there to nudge in and take any spotlight away from Chelsea. But as her mother in the fashion industry, that's a big deal for Danny to be there. So I'm happy she's going to be there. And I'm happy Andre did that for her. Now let's get to, Ted and Shanice's conversation. Shanice had that man's feet to the fire, and she should, because she goes, Leslie always has some kind of shenanigan going on. Always. And you are there just holding her hand, supporting her. She goes, Ted, and she causes most of this. And he goes, no, I'm not involved. She goes, you two are forever involved. He goes, I'm not involved with Leslie. Sure, we share Eva, but she goes, oh, you're not involved. So then how did you end up in bed with her last year? We're talking after 20 some odd years, you ended up right back there. And he goes, that was different. My world had bottomed out. I turned to the bottle, just to escape. And Leslie was there. And I'm thinking, no, Leslie made sure you didn't invite her there. Leslie made sure she took advantage of it because she found out from Eva you were dead drop down drunk, right? And so she goes, okay, so how am I to know that when you and I may have a difference of opinion, you're gonna go out drinking? You might be at Uptown, you might be at the club. And she goes, and in walks Leslie wearing one of her ridiculous outfits and one of those wigs you might love. What are you gonna do, Ted? He says, I am not going to be pulled into Leslie's shenanigans ever again. And I'm thinking, that's a doggone lie. Doggone lie, because you don't know a shenanigan from Leslie. You always want to take things at face value. So anyway, he pretty much was saying, Shanice, you pulled me out of that dark place. And what we have is real. And I want to build on that. And Shanice says, then why does our bed feel so crowded? Right? So they ended in a better place than they started with that conversation. But Shanice it didn't end with her lip locking with him, right? Now she's looking at the situation with her eyes open because there have been too many things, red flags that she's seen. And I'm happy she's not just so googly eyed that she's not paying attention to him. Good, because you need to. Ted is fickle, 100%. So, meanwhile, we got Nicole. She and Carlton go back to her place, or maybe that's his place. Who cares? Whatever place. The way she threw him on the bed, it seemed like that was her bed. She's standing there, throwing him down, and he hits the bed like, oh, and she does her dress and lets it slip off, and she's got this nice little shaper lingerie under it. And he goes, when did you get so sexy? And she lays on top of him, and he rolls her over to where he's on top of her, and he goes, my beautiful Nicole. Because at first he starts kissing down her arm, and then it's my beautiful Nicole. And when she opened her eyes to look into his face, because he's pulling, now up, she sees Ted, and Ted is saying, my beautiful Nicole. And Ted, comes down and starts kissing, and Nicole is just kissing him back. It wasn't one of those to where you're kissing somebody, right? Or you're look up and it's a whole different face. You're not stunned like, oh, wait, what? Right? You pause. Oh no, she leaned all up into that, holding his face and was kissing Ted when it was really Carlton. But I do believe, I think that's the second time Nicole has seen Ted while she was with Carlton, right? Correct me if I'm wrong in comment corner, but I think this is the second time. Now, what I want to talk about, I don't know that anybody noticed this other than me. The makeup they have on Ted's face was way darker. Right once it passed this little neckline here, his body was way lighter. Did they do a little body double? Did they kind of like edit Ted's head on somebody else's body? because it didn't match. Yes, a lot of times, from suntan and everything else, but no, just way different. The coloring. And you could see it a lot in this picture. And I thought, wow, why do they put so much dark makeup on him? That's interesting to me. So anyway, I just noticed that, y'all. But anyway, Nicole, what is letting us know, and Carlton the next morning, or it was late, early morning, and he goes, look, I'm gonna go because I got to get up early in the morning to do a surgery. And Nicole says, and I have patients to see too. So he goes, before I leave, I'll bring you a glass of water. She goes, okay. So when he walks out, what does Nicole do? Went right back into that same fantasy where Ted was saying, my beautiful Nicole. And she's just looking, and I thought, uh-oh, here we go. It's starting. Here we go. Now, if she's with Kyle and she sees Ted, is a wrap. Because to me, I kind of think when she's with Carlton, she sees Ted because Carlton treats her the way Ted treated her. Ted treated Nicole like she was this goddess. He had her on a pedestal. He did all these things for Nicole. Yeah, 24 years ago, however long old Eva is supposed to be. Yeah, he cheated. But he spent the next 20 plus years making up for that. No, Nicole didn't know, but he treated her like a goddess, right? So Carlton is coming in, treating her the same way and talking to her the same way simply because he's been around her for 40 years and he saw her and Ted. So I think that's where she'll end up not gravitating to Carlton as she fights her feelings for Ted himself. That's what I'm feeling. I'm thinking, y'all. So anyway, that's it. Oh, Leah. Leah was on the phone with Ren saying, what do you mean we got to call off this drop? Because there's some new drop. She goes, do you know how hard it was for me to arrange this? And now you're saying it's off? And she goes, and I'm going to have to rearrange something else. And so he told her whatever, whatever. So she goes, you know what? Right now I got other things I on my plate as well that I need to take care of. And she's looking at Ashley. She goes, I need to take care of it. And so Ashley had told her when she spoke to her, about, your distraction. She goes, well, that's not a problem. Grayson and I broke up. You know, he's not the man I thought he was. And so Leah texts Grayson saying, good, at least she finally had the good sense to dump you. Okay, right? So in the scenes, it shows Grayson telling her something at the nurse's station, and Ashley says something and slaps him in his face. I think they staged that for Leah so that she'll think they broke up. He's going to tell her they need to think we broke up, so she's not interested in you anymore. So I think that's going to be staged. But anyway, everybody, that is it. Oh, and Sunny Anderson, she's I want to say chef, a soul food cooker from the Food Network. I used to watch Sunny years ago. She did a cameo. She was in Orphe Jeans, and apparently years ago when her show was doing some kind of taping, and they ran into Orphe Jeans, or they went into Orphe Jeans, and Vernon, he was Senator Dupree then, and he was telling her she needed to try the peach cobbler, but he had just got the last piece. But he gave her his piece so she could taste it. And she said she's been hooked ever since. Every time she's in the DMV, she's at Orphe Jeans. So anyway, that was cute to see Sunny doing a cameo there. She says, I'm on my way to tape the Drew Barrymore show, which she really was going to be taping the Drew show. But anyway, everybody, I'll be back on Monday with another daily recap of BTG Beyond the Gates.